Good day, dear partners. Now the music is over, as well as in that very game when people should take their seats when the music is over. So I hope everyone is on their seats and I can start. My name is Camila. I'm head of Premium Sky Prime, and I'm happy to again welcome you at our stream. We see you are being actively connected, and we would like to sincerely thank each of you who, regardless of the active schedule, found the time to join us. And your presence is not only statistics, but that is the key component of our moving forward. And before we move on to the main part, let's make sure that the connection is okay. Dear partners, please give me plus in the chat if you can hear me and if you can see me. This will help the technical team to quickly react if there is such a need. Well, I see pluses in the chat. I see a lot of familiar faces. I'm very happy to see all of you. Pluses, good, great. So it means that I can continue. Now, another important thing. Please indicate in the chat your region or your country from where you are connected to us. For us, it's really valuable to see the wide geography of our community, and your cities and your countries are our power. And the fact that we have our partners from different parts of the world today, it's really inspiring. See in the chat, you can see so many places from where people joined us, where our partners are, and let's all together create the picture of our strong international team. This is Russian, Vietnam, Kyrgyzstan, Nigeria, Ecuador, Vietnam, Belgium, India, Uruguay, the Netherlands, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan. Somebody sees that I'm not seen. No, actually, people see me. Germany, Slovakia, Cameroon, even the USA. Wonderful, wonderful. Yes, I can see. So now we move on. Well, your feedback is really very important for us, and this chat is your direct channel for connection. If you have any questions, feel free to send your questions and we will take them for further processing. And now we move on to traditional overview of traditional news of the past week. The first one is related to prolongation of Diwali promotion till 16th of October 2025. In your personal account, before this date, you have Diwali packages with the following advantages. Special discount 1 to 95, bonuses up to 20% while making the package with the gifted tickets from new partners. And in order to retain increased discount till the end of stage 15, you have to comply with two conditions. Number one, to make first Diwali package before 16th of October 2025. And number two, further on, to prolong access for 180 days with the date of every new package. It is very convenient. Thus, you have this increased discount till the end of stage 15. Please use these beneficial conditions and more details you can find in your personal account. I would like to mention that a lot of partners already actively participate in this promotion. If you didn't have enough time to join, that is your chance to get additional portions of UST absolutely for free and thus increase your portions portfolio. One more news, which is of no less importance. Last week on a Thursday, we had a stream for heads of divisions, Sky World community with co-founders, macro-regional directors, curators, and top Sky experts. This event was arranged within the frames of arranging regular communication with our community, and it was joined by the partners with Sky Prime status. The stream was arranged like Q&A session. We have collected questions from the community in advance, and our colleagues, heads of departments, and divisions gave the answers to those. Among the key themes which were discussed from PR department, they provided explanation for remuneration in UTerra project, including the size of the remuneration, current status of signing memorandum between UST Incorporated, GTI, SWC, and RSW. There was a response to the question about possibility to arrange the nearest meeting between the parties to confirm the transparency of money transactions. And also there were legal issues discussed, final countdown, and also interaction with investors. We have answered more than 15 questions during the stream. And as most of the questions were focused on UST Incorporated activity, GTI and UTerra, and these questions are outside of sphere of responsibility and influence of Skyworld community, we decided to make this block a separate meeting, and we invited Evgeny Petrov, Deputy Director General on Marketing, UST Incorporated Company, who is ready to answer these questions with the explanations. Evgeny, you have the floor. Thank you, Camilla. Can you see me? Can you hear me? Hello? Well, hello. I'm very happy to welcome everyone who is here with us. I was asked to speak slower for the interpreters to feel more comfortable. It's a great honor to speak in front of this audience. Thank you so much for having found time, for having dedicated your attention to this stream. Now I will try to read and to comment the questions, in particular to UST company, the questions that we have received. And I will read the chat. So if during my speech you have some additional questions, well, unfortunately, I will not be able to comment questions in Vietnamese. So if possible, write questions in English. I will try to answer. So the first question from the list that I have is like this. A Vietnamese project of high-speed railway 350 kilometers per hour cost $67 million. Does Unitsky String Technologies participate in this contest? Well, I will tell you immediately that no, we do not participate in this contest or tender for the following reason. Because any infrastructural project is quite a long story. Project financing, implementation of infrastructural projects, that is something that starts long before that the tender, the contest is announced. That is a very difficult and multilateral negotiations, reconciliations, searching for some points of interest, and so on and so forth. So I didn't get deep enough into this Vietnamese project on high-speed railway line, but I'm sure that it has been discussed for around 10 years ago. And it was discussed in relation to a specific initiative and specific technology. Then there were different consultations at different levels in the Ministry of Transportation, Ministry of Industry, Ministry of Economic Development of Vietnam. Well, that is quite a long and difficult bureaucratic process. And the tender itself, we didn't even see what it looks like, but I'm sure that this tender, this contest is structured specifically for railway technologies. That is why, if a request from the government of Vietnam is about building high-speed railway line, then actually we will not be to the point here within the frame of this request, because we do not offer the classical railway road. We offer something else, some other technological solution. And the tenders we take part in for today, that is like United Arab Emirates or India, I can tell you that conditions of these tenders are prepared with the understanding of which technological solution will be supplied. Thus, the list of the companies capable of participating in this contest gets very much narrowed. If, for instance, there is an indication that the waterfalls in India above, next to the waterfall in India, there should be a road which will provide for transportation of some number of people. It's absolutely clear that railways cannot be there, that there can be no automobile road, and trams will also not work there. There can be a cable road, or it can be monorail solution, or the solution that we offer. But in these conditions, it's also quite obvious that we will win as to feasibility features, feasibility study. So in this tender, we will participate. In this contest, we will participate. In other regions, in Nepal, we have announced a project in Nepal, in Belarus, the project within the frames of Sosny Resort. We have signed a contract for design, and now we have a ready-made project for state expertise of the design documentation. And during the autumn period, as we expect, we should reach the construction site. Of course, all these procedures were preceded by tender, but working in preparation for this contest was arranged for a year or even more. I do not remember exactly, but at least no less than 1 year took us to get ready for that. And the conditions of the contest were prepared so that in Belarus and in Commonwealth of Independent States, in Eurasian environment, in the world in general, no one applied to participate in this tender, but for us. It's not because this project is not interesting to anyone, but because the conditions to participate in the project were arranged so that technological solution can be provided only this way. In this case, technological solutions with train transportation systems. And in Vietnam, the story is the same. And I'm firmly convinced this project has been discussed no less than 10 years. For that, there were special state programs prepared that had separate financing conditions from credit organizations, and that was for some special technological solution. I do not know which exactly. Maybe options from Chinese for high-speed railway roads, which are supplied by RMC, or maybe these are French who did this, or South Korea, which is actively working in this market segment. Well, I think it's quite clear from my explanation that for UST company, participation of this this tender was not feasible. And it's quite obvious that it would not result in anything. That is the same as to participate in the tender for supply of tractors, I don't know, to participate with the offer to supply race cars, approximately like this, similar story. It's quite clear that race cars are good, but here tractors are required. At least this way the government decided. That was question number 1. The second question, was there any information sent to Unitsky String Technologies about remuneration payment of bonus, especially in 2025? Well, of course, we reach the information about all the things which are interesting for the community of investors in this or that way. We do monitoring. We see what concerns the investment community. We are trying to react, to give some explanations, some comments, depending on the specificity of the asked questions. And as to payments of remuneration, payouts of remuneration in 2025, well, not exactly about the payment of remuneration, but some investors actually expected this payout. And as to String Technologies, we only know that in 2024, in the final video, chief designer, head of board of directors, Unitsky String Technologies, Anatoly Unitsky, said that in 2025, Unitsky Group of Companies is planning to start preparing for legal and financial construction to do payouts of remuneration. We know that these works were being done, especially in particular, our legal service participated in roundtables at working sessions dedicated to this issue. Commercial division also provided information about the questions addressed to Unitsky String Technologies from GTI founders. So this work is being done, and it has been done. About payment of remuneration in 2025, we, Unitsky String Technologies, do not know anything, but we know that Anatoly Unitsky said that he will prepare legal and financial basis for payouts, and it is known that at one of the joint events with Sky World Community, it was mentioned that remuneration payout is possible in 2026 in different form, or maybe like reverse payback, or maybe like just a payment. It was there, but there was nothing about payouts in 2025. I do not remember about this, and none of the colleagues remember this. From Anatoly Unitsky, from Unitsky String Technologies, from Global Transport Investment, there were no promises of this kind. So that is all I can comment here. Remuneration payment in 2026 will directly depend on the revenue and profit that the group of companies will, Unitsky Group of Companies will receive, as well as GTI, as Unitsky String Technologies within this group of company. Well, for now, well, I cannot comment for this as financial year is not over yet. It's only October, and there is almost a whole quarter remaining. Many things change. The situation is quite dynamic. For instance, you know that we have signed a contract in Nepal. In Nepal, there was a revolution.
Basically, it was a force majeure that we couldn't foresee. Of course, it will be reflected on our plans as a group of companies, on our actions in the future, but it doesn't mean that the projects won't be implemented since the transportation problems of Nepal remain the same. So there was a lot of rural area, rivers, mountains, so there has to be a transport connection in the country. And considering the landscape, our solution does not have any alternatives. So the intention remains the same. Of course, it's about the deadlines right now. And of course, the revenue which will be received by UTC, etc. On the other hand, we have surprising unexpected projects which are launching rather fast. In Arab Emirates, for example. On Tuesday this week, we had a meeting with the Minister of Transport from one of the Emirates, and this was a very positive dialogue. We didn't have it before. Nepal, we had lots of hopes, deadline-wise as well, but what happened has happened. In the Russian Federation, the work is rather speedy as well. Unexpectedly, we are not coming with our suggestions, but they are coming to us, to our partners, with the requests. Just recently, representatives of one of the regions, one of the big cities, came to us. It's located on Volga River, one of the biggest rivers in the world. They needed to have new apartment block in the middle of the city. And of course, there has to be the connection with it. And the transport should connect the opposite banks of Volga. We're talking of three 3 kilometers, give or take. And considering that there are islands, it's possible. And we have more and more such cases. They're coming to us, they are saying that they have a transport problem and they are asking to solve it. Moreover, we will have two important events in October. I'm not going to say what they are, but they are all about communication, about important governmental agencies and bodies in Russia. We hope that we will gain positive effect here. Lots of good news in Indonesia. We signed a memorandum on mutual understanding this Monday during the meeting. I gave this report to the group of companies of Unitsky, and one of the points is payment for the creation of the technical and economic foundation for the projects. This is a lot of work as well. So, and we are accumulating those finances. And at the end of the fiscal year 2025, we will see the volume that the group of companies will achieve, Unitsky String Technologies in particular. And based on that, we will decide what the reward should be. Nevertheless, there is an opinion that the positive decision would be made in any case, whatever the volume of Unitsky String Technology revenue is. based on the wishes and expectations of the investors. Of course, we can see a particular crisis. There is particular fatigue. People would like to see results, they would like to see rewards. Most likely, GTI and UNISKI groups of companies will decide on when the rewards are going to be paid rather soon. I'm not able to say when exactly, but we have to understand that this payment will not be the reason why we're here, because our end goal is not to gain several cents against one invested dollar. Our goal is to get capitalization, IPO. The proof of the evaluation that we had during the expertise of the intellectual property done in year 2014 for $100 billion. And I assume that this is pretty much real. For GTI group of companies. Why? Because there are examples. Let's take three largest railway companies in the world. Chinese, for example. Their capitalization is 27 billion. Siemens, it's a large holding, they have different products. Their capitalization is 208 billion. Alstom, European company, they are producing the rolling stock. Their capitalization is 10 billion. At that, if we take the annual average revenue, so it's 7 billion, 1 billion, and 500 million for Alstom. And this proportion to the capitalization varies significantly. When it comes to China, it's 1 to 13. Siemens is 1 to 200. Alstom, 1 to 20,000. So basically $1 of revenue, annual average, we get $20,000 as capitalization, as assessed by the market. In order for GTI group of companies to have capitalization of $4 billion, this was the evaluation that was given. The ratio of revenue to capitalization should be $1 to 1,000. $1 of revenue, 1,000 of dollars of capitalization. Then the capitalization is going to be $400 billion. It feels like it's quite possible, especially considering that the companies that I've mentioned, Siemens, Alstom, CRXC, the Chinese company, they provide railway solutions for quite a while now, and they have achieved their limit of their capabilities. So they are not that interesting to financial markets anymore. So their railroads exist since beginning of 19th century. More than 200 years. And of course, investing into them is not interesting to anyone anymore. There is little growth there when it comes to the price of the assets. Our solution is only entering the market. It's only starting its movement. And the scale of our projects cannot be assessed even by us. impartially, I mean, because it's a game changer. The technology which changes it all. So it's basically the disruptive innovations. They appear once and they change everything for everyone. I mean, personal computers, mobile phones, etc. These are only few examples. But once again, people thought that only 10,000 personal computers would be needed in the world, and even fewer mobile phones. And now we're talking of trillions of mobile phones available and obtained by people. So this situation, as we see it, is unpredictable, is as unpredictable as all the rest. And of course, it's going to be as interesting. And the revenue of investors is achievable when we're talking of IPO. And it's not about the rewards. So, and rather modest income of UST String Technologies and GTI group of companies. Yes, the rewards will be paid, but the scale is not that large because the volume of capitalization and revenue are absolutely different. I've already mentioned the ratio. I mean, for Siemens, it's 2 billion, and capitalization is 27 billion. Alstom, 500 million revenue and 10 trillion capitalization. No, billions, not millions. And the situation is the same here. So our goal is not gaining a fast but small income, but exactly what was announced in the very beginning, creating the best business throughout the history of humankind, more than what was created by Ford, Boeing, Stephenson altogether. So this is something we are going for right now. Even now, we prepare the works to enter IPO, to start IPO. So, and we need to push this process forward. In order to do that, we will need to achieve a range of basic conditions in different segments of the market. These projects have to be implemented. We need to build, launch, and show to everyone that it's working. So you can see it in Belarus. Right now we have Sosny resort. So we have a project in Arab Emirates. Very soon we are going to prove it in the Russian Federation, Indonesia, Kazakhstan. So today we had 2 meetings with banks, for example, from Kazakhstan to finance these solutions. That is why such projects, unfortunately, they cannot be implemented as fast as we would like to. And of course, they do not bring such large income right away. And of course, there are force majeures that I have already mentioned. I hope I managed to answer your question. So to sum up, the payments in 2026, as far as I know, is possible. It's going to be made out of revenue, which we will receive in 25-26. Yes, 25-26 by UST String Technologies and other companies which are in the group of companies of GTI. But the volume of this revenue is unpredictable for now. So they all depend on various circumstances. But the goal of our activity is not in it. So we need to enter the stock market, provide for its capitalization, and the amount of returned investments that are interesting for the investors. 1 to 80, 1 to 50. Before it was 1 to 1,000, 1 against 1,500, etc. So $1 of investment gives about $80 of reward. This will be possible when the group of companies will get to the stock market and provide for its capitalization. Before that, we will be thinking about some intermediate income and benefits for our partners and investors. We are working on the concept of funds of investment participation, etc. So we are working on various options to accelerate the process of receiving this reward by GTI and Unitsky group of companies. Next question. Are there assumptions when UST is going to go to IPO? What format it's going to be, tokenized or traditional? When? Assumptions. I cannot make official comments here. This will be an opinion based on memorandum, on my personal understanding of the situation. And I would like to say that we will get to IPO only once. And the reaction of the investment community, of the stock market, to our shares will depend directly on what the company will be when we get to this IPO process. So doing it now is going to be suicidal, because right now, although we already have various technical and economic justifications, and we have been doing project work, and we already have one finished commercial project, 3 or 4 or 5 projects that are very hot. But this is not enough. We need to show this scale. We need to prove the great scale that we have when it comes to applying our technology. Linking cities, replacing metro in the cities, replacing bridges, roads, showing that this technology will be used on the raw materials development areas, etc. So that the ports would be impossible without applying these technologies. So justification will be the projects that we are working on, exactly what we are working on right now. And by creating this base of justification, whatever the IPO is going to be tokenized or traditional or whatever, so if we have this proof of concept, this will be much easier when it comes to dividends and all the rest. So, but once again, more and more crypto space is being regulated, so it doesn't matter if we're going to enter it or not. So once again, IPO is possible only once. And we have to do it when we are going to be as confident as possible, when we will be capable of persuading the participants of the market that this is the company that whose shares should be in every serious investment portfolio, because the company is going to be growing only. And with the growth of the price, the results will be even more significant and obvious, because this company is going to provide for more than 50% of the volume of infrastructural projects across the globe in the near future until the end of 21st century. Then, yes, then it's going to be a success. If we do not prepare this ground and soil, then everything will be lost. So wouldn't be efficient neither to you, nor to Unitsky, nor to me, etc. So nobody would benefit from it. Next, you mentioned that drones needed for the construction can become financial projects in time as well. Any comments and specifics on this? Yes, of course. At the moment, the production of unmanned flying machines is done by United Vehicle Robotics, and it already makes first sales of these drones. So we have smaller ones sold. Their capacity is not that high, but you can add a video camera there, spectrometer, other equipment and instrumentation to monitor the territory. The buyers are governmental, state and agency, emergency situation ministry, the companies which are developing raw materials, they need to monitor their territories, industrial companies, and the first sales are already there. Moreover, we have first contracts for large helicopters. So basically, they are controlled remotely by the computer. So we already have such contracts as well. And right now we are performing this work. More and more contracts are there. The investors, GTI group of companies, Global Transport Investments, are co-owners of this company, which is already selling these drones. And of course, the reward that we're talking of, which will be available in 2026, will consider this revenue as well. And this is basically the income base of GTI group of companies in particular. So this is a separate product. It is demanded because these drones are very fashionable. Everybody wants to know more about them and they want to get them. All the states and countries are providing for their sovereignty using them and security and safety. And we, as a group of companies, provides this unique product, demanded product, with huge added value, with significant capitalization potential. And of course, they are as needed as string transport. Our task now is to expand our presence. What is the position of companies when it comes to negative info field in Vietnam? Media which writes about lack of resources and participation of in large projects. What clarifications are you planning to give? Well, I would like to say that UST Incorporated, UST String Technologies, is an engineering company, and we are doing engineering. Our task is to create transportation complexes, improving them, and selling the services for design, author supervision, and provision shipment of transports and final product. So this is what we are focusing on. Of course, we are following the news as well. So we follow what is happening in the world, in Vietnam in particular. But as far as we know, when it comes to the technology, the engineering companies, nobody is actually saying anything bad about them. No request for comments, clarifications was ever needed. At least nothing ever came as a request to Unitsky String Technologies. We are following the situation. We are ready to react if something will come in regard to technology. We do not see the necessity in that because we haven't heard any claims towards the technology itself. And in general, the company is publishing financial reports rather transparently, and the policy is transparent in general. So on a weekly basis, we have news about the processes. So everything is transparent. We're doing everything to make sure that everything is transparent. And if we need to comment something, of course we do, within our competencies. If we're talking about investment activities, this is outside our competencies. We are an engineering company and not investment. Well, there are also questions towards GTI. But once again, we are the subsidiary company, not the parent company. Once again, this is the position of Unitsky String Technologies. Global Transport Investment is planning to publish a memorandum, a concept, where we'll describe the strategy of our development. We are waiting for it as investment communities do, and investors in general. So, but once again, we can give some intermediate comments. The first question is the four-lateral agreement signing. So Skyworld Community, Global Transport Investments, a Railway Sky System, and the fourth, and DTI. So when will it be finished? I cannot give you a straight answer when it's going to happen. We are doing this. UST receives requests for that. Within 1 or 2 days, we are answering those requests. And as of today, one of the variants of such a project is being viewed. As far as I understand, all the parties are also looking into it. I guess that there will be some cycle of discussions, but until the end of the year, we are going to sign this agreement. At least this is very likely. Are you planning to host meetings of SWC and representatives of GTI or UST Incorporated to prove that the monetary flow is transparent? Well, as Unitsky String Technologies, and as global transport investment, I can say the following. Transparency is more than there, so it's very obvious. Because you know the money that we are investing.
Well, we can see it from the way technology is being developed. So I think that we can never expect more transparency. It wouldn't be feasible because just see, together with the Unitsky Strain Technologies company, two other companies will be developing. I have already mentioned it, and colleagues asked. Well, two other companies, not even companies, but projects. One of them is Hyperloop, which Elon Musk announced. He said that he had an idea, new kind of transportation. Several companies in the world borrowed this idea. In the USA and in Europe, there were companies which were dealing with this. In particular, Hyperloop One, Hyperloop TT, if I'm not mistaken, and they were doing the same as Unitsky Strain Technologies. Well, and what was the result? Nothing. Is there a test sample? Well, they have built 300 meters of pipe, magnet imitation, with nothing similar to the rolling stock that should be there in this system. But there was some machine which accelerated up to the speed of 300 kilometers per hour with the promised 1,200 kilometers per hour. I think it's quite funny. That is absolutely not what we were talking about. We cannot surprise anyone with the speed of 300 kilometers per hour. So there is no need to do these tunnels for this. Yes, a lot of money was collected by the representatives, much more than what used to be in Unitsky String technology. But it's okay, that was done. And this year they said that they closed this part. And they couldn't even find, it's too difficult technologically. And the projects that they have indicated are like to make 70 kilometers in the town, in tunnels, 70 kilometers. Can you imagine? It will take much more time to do the gates for this, to remove oxygen, to launch, and so on and so forth. So nothing was done here. So another project, which started approximately at the same time, that is so-called Skytron in Israel. This project was originated. It was related to NASA, but what have they done within 10 years? Nothing. They also collected investment, built 100 meters of some flyover. There was no magnetic levitation at all. Yes, there was something reminding of this system in the future. And in the same way, it reminded, I don't know, like a machine, a toy machine reminds of a true car. They made a capsule, showed it at the exhibitions, and they also did not think about this part. NASA participated there, one of the richest companies in the world. And in the other project, there was Elon Musk, the richest person in the world, who has $500 billion that it has been stated today. And it's okay. And a small startup in Belarus, supported by some, not by big companies, not by billionaires, but by regular people, investors. Within this time, it grew from an idea to market product. Now it is so much in demand that we do not have to search for clients, but clients are searching for us, and they ask us, help us to resolve our transportation problems. All other ways are too expensive or too inefficient. Isn't that transparency of investment? Isn't that confirmation of the point that these investments were highly efficient and were first and foremost properly arranged, headed by the person who is now the guarantee of the fact that these finance will be used properly. I mean Anatoly Unitsky, because this and many other things that are within the horizon of the projects, that is only his achievement. And as to the meeting with SWC and GTI, we arrange those on regular basis. Today, there is a meeting with SWC arranged by Skyworld Community, being UST in. We participate here, and we also participate in all other relations. And we have arrived to the policy at absolute transparency and openness, whatever you call it. At the previous meetings, it was told that SWC, GTI, and UST consider the options of connecting payouts for remuneration and investment stage within a year and a half. What can I say here? Unfortunately, yes. GTI group of companies, in particular Unitsky String Technologies, continue searching for investment support as the volume of project works, the volume of production of rolling stock, that doesn't completely cover the needs that we have in relation to providing for paying salaries and providing for marketing activity, as to the activity that we have within the frames of development of technology. But that is a necessary part of work, because if we do not develop technology, then Chinese companies or Taiwan companies will arrive, or South Korean companies will come, and they will leave us behind. And we have to develop in the same way as in the story by Lewis Carroll. Alisa said that if you want to stay at the same place in this world, you have to run. And if you want to move on, you have to run twice as fast. And of course, we have to do this, and it requires investment flow. And the project we implement, they are also currently at the initial stage related to quite a lot of expenses, preparation of feasibility study. That is not the part that investors are ready to pay for. Research work, project and research work in many projects, in many banks, that is not the component which loan providing organizations are ready to spend. The geophysical and geological research, preparation of presentations, and so on and so forth. So before the project is at the stage of the contract, that needs quite big investments, quite a lot of expenses, because this project should be properly packaged. And for that, business plan is required, financial model is required, and financial model and business plan also presuppose the preliminary studies and the need for the engineering to work and other experts being engaged. So you see, still we need all that. We still cannot provide for this part of expenses from the revenue that UST Inc. and Unitsky Group of Company are receiving. Well, basically, when the company is developing, it needs investments. It's always like this. Entering the market, entering the stock exchange, or having IPO always means that the company wants to develop. So that is why they publish their stocks and bonds, and they get additional financing, but for revenue from implementation of the product. And they invest this money into further development. And at the start, where we are now, this issue of investment into development is the most important one, because how efficiently, how actively we will invest into the development of the company at the very start that will identify this start for IPO. You know, this is kind of stock exchange market is always a race in a market of innovative products, infrastructural projects. And you know that race cars, when they are at the start, in order for them to start quickly, they already ignite the engine and accelerate the engine up to very big rates, number of rates per minute. So that when the clutch is released and the gears will go together, the start would be as fast as possible in order to be in front of everyone now and forever. These are investments in development, which Unitsky String Technology and UST group of companies and GTI company are longing for. But that doesn't cancel the possibility of paying remuneration, and that doesn't cancel the final goal, capitalization, opportunity for investors to leave the project with good profit. And we, you, Skyworld community, and the SWC systems, all together, we work, we combine our efforts, we join our efforts, and judging by what is happening and how quickly it is accepted, and what kind of tendencies there are now till the end of the year, still there will be a lot of surprises. I guess they will be pleasant for you. We are moving in the right direction. Out of the questions that I had, I have answered all of them. I have commented each of them. I hope that I have managed to add some clarity and maybe provided some additional and interesting information for you. And if something didn't work, well, forgive me. And let's try again. Give me some more chance. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Evgeny. Thank you for these detailed answers. I'm also firmly convinced that our meetings will continue because partners always have a lot of questions about different issues, dividends, remuneration, payback of portions, IPO, and other questions. And for our partners, it is always important to understand what to expect in the nearest future. Thank you again, Evgeny. So all the questions, dear partners, that we have received in the chat, they will be collected by moderators and they will be given to the leadership of the company. Each question will be answered and we will provide detailed answers. I would like to inform all the participants that full version of Q&A for this stream will be translated and spread through our partners in a regional chat. Our next information stream is planned for 16th of October. Follow the announcements. You will see this information in the chat and see you again. Thank you.